It's been a while. First of all, thanks for all the fucking support on the last video. I did not expect it to do nearly as well as it did. Like, the amount of people that are already interested in this project and the Odyssey mod is awesome. It's incredible. And also thank you for the support on my Ko-fi account, which again is linked in the description. Especially huge thank you to
Knack. I think that's how you pronounce it. N-A-C, Knack. Thank you.
For the $50. That was, I mean, crazy. Helped contribute to this mic that you see right now, actually. Not that this costs $50, it's probably like 20 bucks on Amazon, but you know, whatever. I'm just gonna say right out the gate, I was kind of expecting the mod to be at least in a early releasable state, you know, like around this time. And it's just not. I kind of just realized the more I developed, the more I realized I still needed to develop, and I don't want to release it until the tactical class is like actually usable and viable and playable throughout the whole game. The tactical class is still not, it's just not content complete. Spring semester is about to start. I'm still in college. I can't really work on it that much during the semester. I can promise you that I will, at the latest, have an update video again this summer or spring. It's not gonna be for another few months. So in the meantime, I'm gonna implement feedback that you guys have given me, respond to criticisms and compliments that I've gotten through the comments, because boy, did you guys leave a lot of comments on that video. Just gonna get some short ones out of the way. I'm gonna read them off of my iPad, like an iPad baby.
Before I start, like, reading comments and stuff, I feel like this goes without saying, but, like, don't fucking harass people because you don't agree with them, or, like, because you think they were mean to me or something, which, like, not gonna say names, but some of them were a little bit. Also, my hair in this, I promise it's not wet. I just got my hair cut, like, half an hour before filming, and it has some weird product in it. I don't have wet hair, I promise.
Convert the video audio to mono. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I didn't do that. I have no excuse, actually. Love the video, but can you use a pop killer / filter, if you know what I mean? I got a lapel mic with a little pop filter on it, so hopefully that fixes the issue. I guess we'll see. I don't actually know how great this mic's quality is. So the Prime Games 9479 says, could you publish the mod for us even though it's not finished, please? I wouldn't want to release it just on Tmod Loader, or on the Steam Workshop if it's just like not really done. But if you guys are interested, I could like maybe make like a Patreon or something. Like it's not like I'm gonna be like, you have to give me $20 a month to get, but like, you know, like I could just make like a tier that's like $1 or something. I don't know. I just don't want to like, I don't want to be on the workshop, but I'm willing to like give out just like the project folder for people to like see what I've worked on so far, you know, like I'm not trying to gatekeep it. So yeah, I mean, if that's something you guys would be interested in, then just let me know. From Lion 8 Cake. Hey man, I'm Lion 8 Cake, a pretty renowned modder inside the Terraria modding space, having created the Confection Rebaked and the Depths mod. Okay, I'm not gonna read this whole thing. I'll leave it up on screen. Basically, they're just saying here that this video is underrated, the progress I've made so far is great, and they're encouraging me to continue working on it. And thanks for all the feedback, man. That's awesome. And I do agree that the animation on that insectoid is not great. I appreciate that you like my sprite work. That means a lot, really. LeWeird00 says, hey, great mod idea, and I'm absolutely excited to play this in the future. However, one recommendation that came to mind when watching the video. It says that the hotshot inflicts on fire, and I see that icy fire gives... That's not what it... Never mind. Gives frostburn. However, frostburn is used in pre-hard mode, while many hard mode weapons use frostbite. Yeah, I actually had no idea that this distinction existed. Thank you so much for pointing this out, because this would have just been like a garbage weapon otherwise. So thank you for that. I already made that change. Photonic083 says, it was a bit painful to see you wrongly describe how whip tagging works and then unknowingly describe almost exactly how whip tagging works. Whip tags are invisible debuffs too. In fact, they're the like 10 or so buffs with the titanium shard icon all in a row when looking through the game files. I think I just didn't really describe that very well, because yeah, I do know that the whip tagging things are like debuffs, but I meant in the sense that the tracking itself is like a debuff as well, because with whip tagging in Terraria, in terms of what your actual target is, that is done like it's a player stored variable, like which NPC is your target. Those buffs are for the summon tag damage. So like the extra damage boost that you get on an NPC, that's what all those debuffs are. So like, yes and no. I think there was just some miscommunication there. But I do know how that works. I've actually already made like 3 whips for the mod, so I've already implemented those summon tag buffs. I'll get to those later actually. 2 of the ones I added are based on comments that you guys left. What if you could upgrade the mushroom symbiote later in the game with Shroomite? I've got bigger priorities, so I'm not gonna do that right now, but I like where your head is at. I'll keep this in mind. Looks cool, but it seems weird that the Mushroom Summoner set has thorns on the single class with the lowest defense. Yeah, no, I agree. As soon as I saw this comment, I was like, dude, why did I do that? That's stupid. So I basically just swapped that and the like corruption one. Their bonuses just swapped. That's it. The first Sin Yuma AE says, can you instead make a whip that if it lands, a hit spawns a lot of mushroom clouds. When you strike again, they target the enemies, the clouds target. Yeah, I didn't do that exactly, but I did make a whip. It forgoes summon tag damage, kind of in the same way that like the, what's it called, like the Dark Harvest doesn't have summon tag damage. And instead, when you hit an enemy, it just spawns a spore cloud that seeks it out. That's all. I didn't want to make it like too good because it is very early game. It's not like you can really get the leather whip right away. So there is a chance that you could even get this whip before the leather whip. So if, like, there's a chance you get this earlier, I don't want it to be like outright better than the leather whip. So it, like, you know, it has some upsides and downsides. Hey, quick thing for the hard mode custom or frozen remains. A summon isn't required. I'd think a tribal-like bone/spine whip would be cool, pun intended. The bone whip already exists, but maybe you could have the effects be applied to the hit enemy, small debuff ones to increase damage dealt over time, like maybe bleed or frozen. One because it may be sharp, and the other because, well, frozen remains, it's probably still somewhat cold. And also, I hope you do take a stab at making a mod. Even if you think your art skills aren't great, you should just, you know, try to see what you can make. Maybe it could be a portfolio piece if you're trying to get into just like game design or art or computer science related fields in general. Why not? Yeah, as for the whip, I did add it. I didn't do the bleed or the freezing idea. It works, I guess, a little bit similarly to the Dark Harvest, where you kind of like build up energy on enemies. It does still have summon tag damage, and once you've built up enough energy on an enemy, I think it's like 5 hits or so, they take extra damage and then they burst out these like homing rainbow opal projectiles. It's like the same thing with the opal staff shoots. But I didn't want it to be like ice themed because yes, the ore is like frozen remains, but I didn't like show this or talk about it in the video, like the first video, but you do still have to like smelt it with the Hellforge to like quote unquote like thaw it out.
If I say like one more time in this video, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
So they're not gonna be like ice related weapons and armor per se. But yeah, thanks for the idea. Also, let me just say now, before I forget, I have added a few things based on feedback that people have given me, like, or ideas, but this does not mean it's setting a precedent that anything somebody comments that would be a good idea, I'm just gonna add. Because that is too much stuff for me to do. Don't let that discourage you from leaving an idea if you have one. If it is really good, then I'll be like, oh yeah, cool, okay, I'll add that. But I can't add every idea that you guys give me is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not just taking everything. Krusty says, as a person who started working on a Terraria mod together with some friends not too long ago, this video really boosts my confidence and joy in making our own mod. Thank you. Also, might I ask how long it took you to get to this point since picking up the mod again? So I picked up the mod again right at the end of the spring semester of last year, but I didn't really start working on it for real until like the summer. You know, I had a lot of free time. So that's like, I don't know, 3 months. It's like 12, 13 weeks, something like that. It was basically all of the development. Like before I had picked it up again, I'd had like, there were like 2 items. So basically all that development was within like 3 months or so. And the reason the video came out in like October, I think, is just because I took a long time to edit it. And I basically did not work on it at all between when I filmed me talking in August and then uploading the video in October. Like I basically didn't work on it at all in between those times. Basically everything that I'm gonna show in this update video has just been from the last month or so that I've been on winter break in between semesters. How do you learn to code? Please help. YouTube tutorials. I taught I think I mentioned this in the first video, that I did teach myself how to code in C#. I had never touched C# before. I've taken a C++ class now in college, which is pretty similar. Yeah, I mean, YouTube, documentation online, it helps a lot. I haven't used like ChatGPT or anything like that for any of this stuff in the mod. Like, I just figured it out as I went along. You can do it. I believe in you. What the f***? They invented attractive Terraria YouTubers. Thank you. But I mean, hey, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Who's to say that other Terraria YouTubers aren't attractive? And I mean, half of them don't even show their face anyways. Who knows? Maybe they're all super hot. You have no idea. Speaking of Terraria YouTubers, I didn't even notice this comment. Bijou says, "Why is your voice so soothing?" French fry emoji. I don't know what the French fry emoji is supposed to mean. Maybe I'm missing something, but thank you. Sorry I didn't see your comment earlier. It got 0 likes for some reason, but thanks for watching the video. A person 2543 says, "Okay, this seems absolutely amazing. The technical class seems really neat. The emphasis on exploration will add some spice to biomes you've explored 1,000 times before, and the new content seems really cool. However, I have one kind of nitpicky thing I dislike, the mushroom armor, mainly the ranger one. It seems like the corruption one has no upside, and the crimson one seems a bit too punishing for just some danger sense. Personally, if I would change it, I would give either all the others a downside, example, the melee helmet only allows you to attack with the full set, or buff the ranger helm, or give it a way to work around the darkness. Maybe you could click a button and it would send out a sound wave that bounces off walls and reveals everything in its radius, and have the blocks directly above or below you be lit up. I'm in no ways a game designer, so take this with a mountain of salt." I do really like that sound wave pinging idea. Maybe I will add that. It's just, you know, that would take a little while. That's not my priority at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, I did change some of the set bonuses, and since the corruption one is just thorns now, I did completely get rid of the visibility debuff. But the ranged one, yes, it does have a bit of a big downside for having the reduced visibility, but really it's not all that bad if you look at it. And having the permanent hunter and danger sense, I feel like at least is pretty good. Part of what I was doing with those armors is that I didn't want their buffs to be anything too crazy, because who am I to make an armor set that's just outright better than the other ones you would get at that point in the game? I don't want the magic one to just be overtly better than meteor armor, or for the ranger armor to completely outclass the fossil armor. The vanilla stuff still should have its place. This armor, I want to be there's some benefits, but there's also some downsides. But I do agree that the melee one should maybe have some kind of downside, maybe, I don't know, reduce movement speed. I'm not sure. I'll think of something. Hedgehog 3180 says, "With how varied the content in Terraria is, you could totally just add a helicopter gunship and it wouldn't feel out of place." And they say some stuff about Modern Warfare kill streaks, riot gear, sniper rifles, stuff like that. Yeah, I actually am gonna add a lot of airstrike themed stratagems. I'll just give a little sneak peek into what I've been doing. There's gonna be this NPC called the Shipmaster that doesn't spawn until you've beaten the tier 2 version of the Insectoid Invasion, which would be the early hard mode version. Once you have him, you can buy this accessory from him that you need to have this accessory equipped in order to use these little tac pad things that call in an airstrike or something like that. So they're all super powerful, but if you don't have that certain accessory equipped, then they just don't work. So you're sacrificing an accessory slot for really good weapons. That's the trade-off. The accessory that you have, that you equip to use these airstrikes, once you get different materials later on in the game, you can upgrade it to a higher tier version that unlocks not only the ability to use better airstrikes, but also it upgrades the capabilities of the older weapons. So those older weapons still remain viable even into the late game, instead of them just being outclassed by something new that you get, you know? If you really like how this one particular stratagem works and functions, it really fits your playstyle, then you can just keep using it, because it'll just have some damage boost, and maybe it also has some kind of debuff effect it also adds as you get to a later stage of the game, if that makes sense. There's different tiers of these weapons, and they're all hypothetically called down from this mothership thing. That's why the NPC is called the Shipmaster, and he looks like this general type of guy. But you don't ever see that ship. Or, I don't know, maybe I might do some kind of animation. I just don't want it to be too garish and huge. I feel that would not be very vanilla friendly to me, because I do kind of want this mod to be vanilla friendly. That's just a little sneak peek into something else I've been working on. Okay, I'm not gonna read this whole thing. I'm gonna put this on the screen. Yeah, thank you, Eric. Slimy Emerald says, "That's cool. Now make Tactician Calamity compatible. Yeah, I do really want to do that. Again, that's on the back burner. I want the mod to be more finished before I start working on that, but I am already like developing things with Calamity in mind, where if it's like redundant with something Calamity already adds, then I'm gonna avoid adding it, if you know what I mean. Like I'm trying to make sure I can make the mods compatible in the future. All right, we have another big one here. I think for the Tactician class, it would have been better to, instead of replacing the damage type of other weapons, make the marking weapons available to all classes. That way you can have even more variety with the tactical weapons you can make and would better allow for multi-classing. They go on to talk about different types of ammo and things like that. I do like this idea to like enhance multi-classing. I'm not gonna make the darts still be range damage. Like I'm still gonna make it to where the marking weapons are tactical damage, but I could make it to where, like, you know, for melee, there's like a flask that allows you to mark enemies, or for ranged, there could be, as this person says, like paint bullets that allow you to mark enemies. I do really like that idea. Like that's a very good idea to incentivize multi-classing, but I want like the summoner class to still be good and have its own marking weapons where you don't have to multi-class, if that makes sense. Like if I were to keep the darts ranged, then really the only marking weapon that I would have would be the laser pointer, and there's only one of it, because I'm not gonna get super far into this, but I kind of realized as I added more stratagems where their effectiveness scales off of how many enemies you have marked, that especially for like horde invasions and worm bosses, that the laser pointer was broken. Like because you could just mark as much stuff as you wanted. So now that laser pointer, like there's only one of it. You can't upgrade it, and you also can't get it until like post Plantera kind of time. And you have to have the laser focused on a target for like a full second before they get marked. Like you have to like charge up ticks and then they get marked. Another reason I had to do this is that now that I've been working on armor sets for the tactical class, which are almost done actually, and also accessories, a lot of the equipment for the tactical class scales the amount of time that you mark a target. So when I was like kind of experimenting and playtesting with like different builds you could make, if you just did a full on marking time increase build with the laser pointer, like it was just busted if you used the right stratagems. So yeah. Kind of went off on a tangent. I'm not really even answering this question anymore, but I hope I responded to you sufficiently. Honestly, I've never really liked modded Terraria. Not that I don't think it's cool, just that I really like how vanilla Terraria works, and I haven't found a mod that incorporates itself into vanilla in a seamless way. This feels like it could be vanilla, honestly. Some of the sprites are a bit massive. Those rifles look like they're double the size of the player's sprite, with colors and details that are very key jangly, aka being too eye-catching, whatever. However, other than that, this really feels like it would be an awesome class for Terraria, especially in co-op. Yeah, they go on to talk about like different ores. My criticisms. When making a gun for the game, the flashiest, most visually important part should always be what the gun shoots, unless it's not shooting anything, of course. This helps with readability, helping your eye latch onto what you're shooting or where your bullets are going. They continue on a little bit here. But yeah, I do agree that if you're shooting like really slow darts, it does look kind of weak. But keep in mind that same as the bullets or like the arrows, the speed and like the force and overall, I guess, coolness factor of not just the projectiles, but also the weapons themselves does increase as you go throughout the game. I do have darts that are like super fast and have like, really you're not gonna know what this is unless you're like a nerd or you've modded Terraria, but they have like more extra updates, meaning they move a lot faster. But yeah, I do agree with what you're saying, that a lot of the gun sprites are a bit, like they're a bit big, but I mean, I feel like as far as modded Terraria goes, they're a little bit tame compared to some other stuff, because I have been trying to keep them vanilla friendly and not go too balls to the wall with the sprite designs. They also said I missed a chance to call the pipe repeater the pipe heater, because that sounds very silly. Yes, that is silly. I'm not going to change the name, but maybe I'll put this in the tooltip as a reference to your comment. Thanks. Please shave your mustache for now. (3 face). What do you mean for now? Okay, yeah. Those are all the comments that I have saved, but I will go over like just a few other things that I've added or things that I've been working on. As I said, the biomes, the invasion events, stuff like that are kind of on the back burner. I haven't really developed them quite as much, but I did allude to the accessories and the armor sets. I really want the set bonuses in my mod to be like, not substantial, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I guess just unique in terms of how they influence your playstyle. Like, I don't want all the set bonuses to just be like, oh, if you have the full set equipped, then you have plus 20% damage. Like, okay, whatever. I want them to be functionally unique. So I'm gonna show a couple. You will notice I'm not wearing the full set, I'm just wearing the helmet because that's the easiest part to like fully animate. So it's not like just having the helmet will give you the full set bonus, just for testing purposes and showing this off, that it's just gonna be the helmet. This mid hard mode armor set that I'm making called the Slayer armor, its set bonus is that it gives you this drone that follows you around, which I don't know about you, but it seems pretty similar to a summon to me. So I did kind of, you know, jump over that hurdle, so to say. I kind of know how to make summons now. And it's just this little guy that follows you around. The buff tooltip actually says, like, never speak to me or my son ever again, because he's just a little guy. He's like your son. And whenever you have an enemy marked, he just shoots at the nearest marked enemy. But if you have no marked enemies, he doesn't know what to shoot at. It's pretty simple, but it took me like 3 days just to make this little guy function properly, actually. But I'm very happy with how he looks, like visually, how he's animated, the sound design of it, the particles and everything. I think he's really cool. Another one I made that was pretty complicated because I needed to make a whole keybind, which I had no idea how to do, but it ended up being kind of simple. Whenever you press like your armor set bonus key, which, speaking of Calamity compatibility, if I were to make a Calamity plus Odyssey like compatibility mod, it would just make the armor set bonuses the same key, because having multiple for different mods is annoying. But anyways, if you press whatever your Odyssey specific armor set bonus key is, then you toggle on and off this big blizzard that surrounds the player. By the way, this is called the Glacial Monarch set. I didn't even mention that. You would make it with a drop that would drop from the Ice Queen. And there's 2 helmets, but the one I'm showing you now is the one that has the flashier set bonus. It has way less defense, but it creates this big raging blizzard around you that's just like a, you know, radius. And anything within that radius takes little bits of tick damage. And once they've accumulated 3 ticks of damage, they get frozen and marked, and each tick like slows them down a little bit more. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna be using as the footage, but let's say hypothetically this enemy that I'm pointing at right now, you will notice that as he takes damage, he gets slightly more and more blue and gets more and more slow until the glass shattering kind of ice sound plays and he gets marked and the particles show up to show that he's frozen. Obviously, I feel like this kind of goes without saying, this wouldn't do anything to like bosses. It does absolutely nothing to bosses, at least the freezing. Like, if you were fighting a boss and the boss was right next to you and it took 3 ticks of damage, you're still gonna mark it. Like, it's still a marking radius, but like the slowing stuff only applies to regular enemies. And a lot of later hard mode enemies are gonna be immune to this effect anyways, because I don't want it to be busted. You know what I'm saying? I would love to show more, but I also don't want to make the mistake I made last time and record myself talking for way too long and have to trim out like half an hour of me speaking and work on editing the video for like 2 months or 3 months. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. As I said, I will work on the mod more and get an update video for you guys by the spring or the summer. Hopefully I'll make 2 during the summer, because this will be like all I'm doing during the summer pretty much. But yeah, thank you for the support. Thank you for the comments. Coffee account in the description, as I said earlier. Thanks for watching. I feel like I've set a precedent with that first video that I gotta like say something funny to end the video. I have no beat to juju on.